And welcome back to part 6 of Final Fantasy XII, where today we're going to be fighting the actual main boss fight of this area, of the waterway, and essentially just finding out where it leads us as we attempt to get back to Rabanashte to escape from our pursuers. So enjoy the fact that you've still got your party of 4, because after this boss fight you'll be losing your guest character, well, losing this guest character until we get another one later on. So we'll be back to a party of 3. This boss has one thing of significant interest to it, and it's that it has a quickening. A quickening is something that we don't have access to yet, but we've actually seen in action already in this game. When we was fighting that mini-boss way back in the first part of this game, Barsh used the quickening to take it down. You know the thing that's pilot was called Tonberry? Well, so Balthier I think it's been hit with slow, because that attack speed was hideous. Did you see how slow that was moving? Look at that! Look at how slow his attack bar's moving compared to everyone else. It's not saying he's been affected by slow. I think it's just his attack speed right now is just that bad. But this boss is the first one that will have its own quickening, which is a special cinematic attack. It's not some big game changer. It's just a cinematic attack that will have its own cutscene before it hits you. And it usually doesn't just hit hard. Like in this instance, it poisons you as well, so it tests your ability to react quick enough to put an antidote in place. So I don't think you can have the gambit, well to be honest I haven't checked, but I don't think you have the gambit to make it so you'll also restore poison at this point. You also get to hear the magnificent main boss theme for this game, which I love to death. But your main strategy for this fight isn't much. You're not going to have water magic available to you at this point in the game, so its weakness to water means nothing. So you're literally just wailing on it, and every time it does its quickening, countering its poison, and waiting until the HP hits 0. However, when you defeat it, it won't die, it will run away. And it's worth noting this, because as I've said before, this is the first of many dungeons that have an entire extra chunk to them that's entirely optional, that if you explore out leads to unique legendary loot. One of the optional paths will lead to a rematch with that boss fight where you can kill it properly. And by then you should definitely have access to that kind of magic to be able to counter it.
Stand where you are!
Now's not the time.
Is that what the commotion last night was about?
They think me some common thief.
Better than a common assassin.
These people have done nothing. Release them!
What are you doing?
Don't interrupt me. I'm thinking. Wait!
Where do
He
you
didn't
think
know what he
you're
was
going?
doing! You have to let him go! You have to!
Pinello! Sorry. That dinner will have to wait.
I told you.
That's enough!
Ah!
Leave him alone!
Hold on to this for me, would you? Just until I bring Farn back.
On your feet, you, over here!
All right. Edgy, aren't we?
It's Balthier, my brother.
What does that philanderer think he's doing? I was to kill Balthier, not those apple-pated Imperials.
I brought you some of those flowers you like. Galbana lilies. Remember? You always said how they smelled nice, and how pretty they were. Remember? The king. Did you? Were you really a part of it? Even if Even if you were, Captain Bosch must have tricked you into it.
You're awake?
Where are we?
Prison, where else? Or a dungeon, but it's really all the same. Relax, it's just a corpse. Jump at every little thing down here and you'll wear yourself out. It's not even a proper dungeon. They just sealed off the bottom level of the fortress. Take a look around. We're not the first they've thrown down here.
Where's Fran?
She's off trying to find us a way out. Remember what curiosity killed? Just a friendly word of advice. This is all the water we've got. I'd save your strength if I were you.
That's something that I kind of wish they explored a little bit more. When Rex was stabbed at the end of part 1, for the following time afterwards, he didn't die then and there. He just essentially became a potato. He kind of became this comatose being that was just existing until he eventually succumbed to his injuries and passed on. That must have been brutal for Vaughn, and they explore it sometimes, but not that much. And it's also worth mentioning that Rex was, well, before the character died, voiced by Yuri Lowenthal, which you might recognise nowadays as Yosuke from Persona 4, Spider-Man from the most recent PS4 Spider-Man reboot, among with a few other things. Yuri Lowenthal's done quite a lot nowadays. He's even Mercury in the web show RWBY. I don't know if he still is. I haven't watched the show recently, but I know he used to be. And there's a lot of it's kind of crazy. If you look up the voice cast of this game, there are a lot of people there. It's like, well, hang on a minute, they're actually really prevalent and popular now. And this was like pretty early on in their career, and they just picked it up and did it. Nolan North voices a character in this game, a character that we've met, that I won't spoil who it is. I'll see if you can work it out until we go back there. But either way, we're currently stuck in the dungeons, and you can go around and find really shit loot, but you don't really have much you can do. But when you're ready, there's a save crystal here, and you can advance to the next screen.
No, don't! He was defenseless.
Something stinks in here, all right? I've changed my mind. This is no dungeon, it's a sty. I said you're the one that stinks, Hamshanks. Hear me now? You all right, Vaughn?
Balthier is such a cool character. You are completely unequipped. Everything we had on us was just taken from us when we were thrown in here. And you might have noticed, an Albina Dungeons isn't like a traditional prison. Like, the front door is sealed, but everything that happens within it is just kind of allowed. So there's a lot of chaos and fight clubs and things like this that go on down here. It's very much just a death pit. But these guys, since you can't really do anything whatsoever, just wait it out and they'll die eventually.
That's a fresh one, lad.
Not faces I'd seen before.
Ready? Bah!
Great. They just don't give up, do they? Now is looking like a good time for us to leave.
Through the oubliette, there's a way out. Only...
Only you sense the mist. Then we'll need weapons.
What did you call me? Say that again.
What? You couldn't hear? I merely said that a lot of you are incompetent fools. If you've the Sky Pirate in your hands, where is he?
You'd have done better, Begamnon. By your own words, it was the Imperial Army who caught this Sky Pirate of yours. We've done your job for you. We don't require the assistance of filthy headhunters. The Empire will restore order here.
Eh? What's that you say now? Maybe I'll wet my blade on you before I kill Balthier.
That's enough, Begamnon.
a judge.
Judge?
The self-proclaimed guardians of law and order in Arcadia. They're the elite guard of House Solidor, which effectively makes them the commanders of the Imperial Army. If you ask me, they're more executioners than judges. Not a friendly lot, at any rate. What are they doing here?
The Emperor is willing to overlook race for his more talented servants. However, those that do not show respect will receive none in kind.
Your Honor.
You travel freely through our lands because the Emperor wills it. Am I correct? Where is the captain?
We have him in solitary, Your Honor. We're ready to begin our interrogation.
This does not concern you, bounty hunter.
He's in here somewhere. Find him.
Watchy, that way.
It's going this way.
What's that?
Time for the hare to follow the fox.
The magics binding the door to the oubliette are quite strong. Too strong even for my tenants.
That's why we'll get them to open it for us.
How is going deeper into this
What's
place?
wrong? You don't trust her? Fiera's noses are sharp. If she says there's a way out, there's a way out.
Balthier's commitment to honour his working partner Fran is something that I love in this. Anyone even remotely, for even a split second, looks at her the wrong way, questions something, or doubts her, he immediately turns on them and kind of goes, "What's wrong? Don't trust her. I assure you she's fine." Like, Balthier is such an effective working buddy, but as soon as you go to leave, you immediately find all of your stuff just left here unattended. Like, literally everything, including a mapper to the area, so you got all your stuff back with bonuses. And literally everything's back exactly where it was, so just go back as you were, as if it never happened. But during that cutscene as well, we was introduced to a bounty hunter that is after Balthier, Begamnon. Begamnon we'll see a bit more later on, but you won't actually see the end of his story unless you go down side quests. Because there's a particular hunt later on that's specifically only there, made by Begamnon to try and lure out Balthier. Which is actually pretty clever. And I kind of like how they managed to handle that and how they did it. But if you don't go down that route, you're never going to have it. So Begamnon's story arc could never get finished for you. But Begamnon, he seems a bit familiar, along with a lot of other characters in this game. A coloured green bounty hunter, after our character that has its own ship and has a companion of a different race, who's pretty cool, has a gun. The comparisons between this and Star Wars have been plentiful over the years, but Star Wars being a subtle inspiration for Final Fantasy games isn't something new. Final Fantasy II had a rebellion against an empire. 6 had loads of little winks towards it. Final Fantasy IX had straight up quoted the Phantom Menace. Like references to Star Wars have always been a thing. This is just the one that's kind of embraced it the most. It does a hell of a lot of its own, as I've said before, but there's still odd moments. Also, you can equip the Magicite that Van stole. Don't. The boosts it gives you might seem really plentiful and really cool, but it reduces your MP to 0, and your MP will always be more important. But as you progress onwards, you're going to get a lot of smaller little cutscenes as you go on, showing what's going on and what you need to be dealing with.
There are more turnkeys than cut purses down here. I've had my fill of chains. Let's tread lightly, shall we?
Balthier says to tread lightly, but when you go into the gameplay, I don't think you can really sneak around any of them. You might as well just fight all of them and take them down for the free experience. You don't get punished for it. The rest of it still plays out as normal. And you have gambits on, even more chances of it not happening, because you'll automatically target it. The main ones to be wary of, though, is the Imperial Mages, or the ones with the spears that we just took down, because they will buff their allies around them and will just be more problematic if you allow them to live, because they will make your opponents even stronger. Our main objective for this area is just to get out of here. which we won't necessarily be completely doing this part because it's going to get more and more complicated as we go on, as you can probably imagine. And it's why that warning way back in when we first entered the waterway, before we entered the palace, was there saying you're not going to be back for a while. Because we haven't been back for a while. We went to the palace, ended up in the waterway, been captured and thrown in this dungeon, and now we're going further into this dungeon because it will lead to a better way out later down the line than trying to go through the front door. Like, do you see what I mean? Like, it's going to be a little while. I do explore the entirety of this place out before we proceed onwards. So there's a little bit left, and we've got another cutscene yet before we wrap up. Which is probably something you've noticed, we're still technically in the prologue of the game, so it's still introducing a lot of elements. Like then we introduced our Not Boba Fett with Bagamnon, and introduced the judges with Judge Gabranth, the one that we saw there. That's his name, that's Judge Gabranth. And Judge Gabranth you might recognise immediately if you've ever seen anything for this game. Judge Gabranth is what you see on the logo for Final Fantasy XII. Every Final Fantasy has its... Like, you have to kind of be living under a rock to not know, but every single Final Fantasy has an artwork drawn tied to the logo to kind of signify what the game is about, or signify what it means. Like Final Fantasy V has a dragon with its tail going around one of the letters. 9 has a more focus on the crystal, so it's there. 7, the biggest plot point, well, one of the biggest plot points is the great meteorite that gets damaged as it goes on its way towards the Earth, so it's a meteorite design. 10, it's about Yuna's journey, so having it be her dance on the water is the thing. With 12, it's Judge Gabranth. So if that isn't a signifier of how significant his journey, or what Judge Gabranth means to this overall plot is going to be, I don't know what to tell you. But it's the last Final Fantasy for a little while, for the well, I say this, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. It's the last one for a little while to really mean something, because 13's logo means absolutely nothing until literally the ending cutscene. Like, it has no significance, isn't mentioned of anything, it has absolutely nothing to do with 13 up until the ending cutscene. You see it, you go, oh, and then the credits roll. And that's it. Like, 12 was the last time where it was something significant for the whole journey, and you saw it immediately. 13-2 has a much cooler artwork, because it's just Sarah and Noel, like, in their battle stances, and they've got like this cool like armor on them by the looks of it, and it's a cool thing. And Lightning Returns, I don't think it actually had a proper artwork. The closest it got was just the necklace that Lightning wears, which isn't actually artwork. It looked a lot more like just an in-model like take of her thing. And 15 had the coolest. If you remember from the Let's Play, I loved what they did with 15s, where they once again made it seem to be completely insignificant, but when it came full circle to be significant, it made far more sense than it did with 13. Like, it didn't just feel tacked on for the sake of the logo, it felt like it was an intention, even though it probably wasn't. There was a lot more to 15 back when Nomura was directing it, and it was versus 13 before it became 15, but still. But anyway, we got this last cutscene, so I'm going to let it play out.
You have grown very thin, Bosch. Less than a shadow, less than a man. Sentenced to death, and yet you live? Why?
To silence Hondor. How many times must I say it?
Is that all?
Why not ask Vane himself? Is he not one of your masters?
We've caught a leader of the insurgents. She's being brought from Rabanasta, the woman Amalia. Who could that be? Such a faithful hound to cling so to a falling kingdom.
Better than throwing it away.
Throwing it away, as you threw away our homeland.
Who's there?
This the place?
The mist is flowing through this room. It must be going somewhere.
You know Imperials. Please, you must get me out.
It's against my policy to speak with the dead, especially when they happen to be Kingslayers.
I did not kill him.
Is that so? Huh. Glad to hear it.
Please, get me out. For the sake of Dalmasca.
Dalmasca? What do you care about Dalmasca? Everything that's happened is because of you! Everyone that's died, every single one! Even my brother. You killed my brother!
Quiet! The guards will hear.
I'm dropping it.
Pirates without a sky. Spare us your quiddities.
Yeah, but he's a...
A traitor, I know. Stay here and fight if you want. If you can walk, let's go.
You're taking him with us?
We could use another sword arm.
And you have it.
See, I get Vaughn's reaction there, and I wish they did more with it, but they're not gonna do that much more with it, if I'm being honest with you. But when we drop down here, we fall into the Barhim Passage, and this is going to be our final exit point once we get through here. Barsh joins as a guest, so once again, you can't affect any of his stuff, but he's almost definitely going to start a few levels higher than you. Which I guess makes sense, considering that he was like the captain of his stuff and whatnot. You can affect his gambits, but I'd rather leave him as is, because he's not going to be of much help right now, so I'd rather just let him do what he's going to do. Unfortunately, you can't see his equipment. As I've mentioned it before, you can't see guest character's equipment, and I wish you could, because he actually has some pretty decent stuff for him to start with that he's going to miraculously lose when we get to him proper. One of the chests down here was scripted, the other two are random. As you can tell by the fact that we just got 2,500 gil from that one chest, and the other two we just got generic usual stuff. You can even see I go to check to see if the balance smoke was anything interesting, and it's just a basic damage item. It's a cool one, because the damage it does is equal to your health, so if you keep it till late game you can get a free 9,000 damage. But this is pretty much where I'm going to be ending the part. As a forewarning, I've yet to record any more of this game, so there's a pretty good chance there won't be another part tomorrow for Friday, which is a warning I made when I made the update to even start this project. This game is a lot chunkier and a lot bigger, so I'm doing it in sections, so there won't always be parts 5 days a week. That being said, next time on Final Fantasy XII, we'll be exploring this passage to see if we could find a way back out towards the desert and towards Rabanastre. But until then, take care now.